Hello and welcome to the October 8th, 2023 episode of Nick's News. I am your host, Nick. We're brought to you by Some Budget Studios. That's right, I finally started paying into this and started to get some stuff to make this better. We're on every other Sunday, and I thank you all so very much for tuning in or catching the replay on the Facebook page. That's right, we're on Facebook Meta, whatever the hell it's called this week. I am working to get the new Nick's News YouTube page running. It's going to be a nice repository apart from Facebook to have all of our different video on, so once I get the Nick's News YouTube page going up, there will be a post about it. There will be all sorts of information. I would love for you all to go and like, comment, subscribe, whatever the heck all this stuff is for YouTube. I really want to keep building this, so any and all assistance is greatly appreciated. This is a program dedicated to bringing some good news to counter all of the bad news that we are bombarded with on a daily basis, with the hope of bringing a little bit of joy back into the world. Several of our articles are pulled from goodnewsnetwork.org, but we do appreciate articles sent in by you, the viewers. Sorry it took me a little bit to get up and running again. I had forgotten how I had everything organized from last week. Or 2 weeks ago, so it's still a little bit of a learning game, getting everything all set up in this new method and using Streamlabs. Hi Sean, hi Cassidy. Yes, we do have a countdown. I'm going to actually get a custom one made that will have like a spinning globe. I'm gonna have to hire somebody to make that. I'm not a graphic designer. I think I know one though, so I'm gonna see if they can do some commission work for me to make a brand new intro. Let's see. We do have the countdown timer. Yep. Till I can call a fail. No, Sean. The fail timer would be like 15 minutes after I'm supposed to broadcast, but I see we did beat the clock. So, happily stuffed with Thanksgiving tastiness. Very cool. That's very good to hear. It is interesting. We've still got the double text situation going on, but I think we're just going to have to live with it. I went through some stuff to try to fix it, but it doesn't look like it wants to be fixed. So it looks like double text is what we're going to be stuck with for a bit. I wonder if... Ooh, handmade Ukrainian pierogies. That sounds awesome. I wonder if my actual setup was... Did I have this on the other monitor? I'm going to have to go back and watch how my head moves, but I think I had the chat here. So it's more like I'm talking to everybody as I look at what y'all are replying with. But I don't remember. Dang. I'm going to have to work on that. I could probably afford to make that a little bit smaller to bump up. It's an issue, not an ish-me. Okay. Thanks, champ. All right. And I think I had... How did I have the articles? I think I had the articles right there. Or maybe I had them spread out. Man, I'm going to have to streamline how I have this all set up. We'll get there, though. We'll get there. So, news brew for tonight is Fluffer Nutter. And this is by Abita Brewing Company. This is an 8% ABV White Stout. So it is not the normal darkness we are used to, or that I'm used to. But I have been trying white stouts. They are very interesting. This one is 8% brewed with milk, sugar, vanilla, and peanut flavor. And I am a sucker for Fluffer Nutter. So, because we have a bottle, the return of the Balisong... Oh, I haven't had to use it in so long. The Balisong bottle opener. Off with the cap. Let's see how this looks. We have our harpoon snifter. Wondering if you were going to get that when Rishi posted the beer. Julie, you know my heart. The Rishi's International Beverage is a place that is very close to me and very close to my heart in terms of acquisition of alcohol. They always have beer. They post on Facebook, and I saw this on Facebook. I drove over that day because it is a limited release. Yeah, enough to forget my setup. So, Let's see how this pours. Now, white stouts are not like your typical fare. Instead of being dark, we are pouring a beautiful golden color. Now, one of the best white stouts that I've had is from one of my favorite breweries, which is New Holland Brewing. Same people who make Dragon's Milk make a Dragon's Milk White. It was a fantastic white stout. So we are going to give this a try. Yeah, there aren't a lot of them, Eliza. It's a beautiful beer. So, yeah. It smells divine. My God, I wish I could just hand this beer out to everybody. So, shout out. So, some of our viewers went through quite a bit of drama procuring a drum set for their son. Cassidy let me know that our news viewer Bonnie was looking to pick up a drums kit for her son Xander, who is joining jazz band. They managed to find one on Facebook Marketplace. Nice guy named Gian, and there was a whole bunch of like back and forth because John didn't know if they were scammers. So it had to be confirmed that they were not. And Bonnie picked up a wonderful drum set, a very expensive but wonderful drum set from Gian for Xander. So thank you very much, Gian, and good luck to you, Xander, with Jazz Band. Cheers. Oh my gosh. Soundproofing foam. Please don't tell me that that cricket is coming through. Oh, it is. Well, that's gonna be part of the bug update when we get there. That is hilarious. That Xander is drinking alongside me. Eliza, I don't know if you recognize this. This thing's awesome. News quote. We'll get to the bug update. We're going to get through the news quote first. So, news quote I picked for today. Very interesting one, and one that I stand by entirely. That action is best, which procures the greatest happiness for greatest numbers, and that worst, which, in like manner, occasions misery. So that was from Francis Hutcheson from way back in the day, 1700s. He was an Irish philosopher and was also one of the founding fathers of what was known as the Scottish Enlightenment, which was a time in the 17th and 18th century when a ton of science, technology, and philosophy began to blossom in Scotland. And I want you to think about this quote again. That action is best, which procures the greatest happiness for the greatest numbers, and worst, which in like manner occasions misery. There are a lot of folks in the world right now who are occasioning misery on others, and I hope that that comes to an end in short order. So do what you can, best things you can do. Go out and do what's best that causes the greatest happiness for the greatest numbers. So thank you, Francis Hutcheson. Rest in peace. Cheers. I'm pretty sure that they've got them on it. They must have them on Amazon. This thing can't be illegal. I mean, it's not like it's turbo illegal. It's not a real balisong blade. So, all right. Here's the reason why that cricket is going. It's because the one that would normally take care of it is gone. This is some sad news to get through. Maverick reached the end of the line and decided to go full spaceship mode into the wild spiritual yonder. He knew the day was coming. Maverick had started to slow down. He wasn't hunting as much, and he had taken a bit of damage to his claws. He was still eating, but I knew from the way he moved that we were getting towards the end. And he is no longer with us. So, Maverick, rest in peace, little buddy. So because of that, That cricket is not shut up. It's celebrating. Oh. Perhaps it's aware of my plan to get something worse. Oh, don't start up again. Oh. Well, I'm going to go with shopping, and I'm going to try to find something a little bit worse to mess that cricket up. So, wish me luck. Roaches are doing very well, as they always are. Their home is flourishing, all sorts of flora, fauna going on in there. And just like that, Julie has found a link to a butterfly multifunctional tool novelty ball bottle opener for beer or soda. Thank you very much, Julie. So yeah, roaches are doing really well. Not much to report. The Darkling beetles are doing well. I'm starting to call them the Dark Knights. There's 2 of them right now, but I did finally pick up another pack of superworms. Superworms are what Darkling beetles grow from. However, it's very difficult to get Darkling beetles to pupate, or to get superworms to pupate and become Darkling beetles. So I've got a couple of them behind me in a couple of different containers trying to figure out what the best way to get them to pupate is so I can make more Darkling beetles, because those are really cool. So, yeah. Okay, hold on. The only thing in there is the only thing in there is a bunch of crickets and some roly-poly cleanup crew. The roly-polies will be fine. The crickets, I want to just murder, but we'll get to that. Okay, on to our good news. So our broadcast is broken up into 4 major categories, and those categories are science and technology, health and medicine, flora and fauna, aka plants and animals, and we like to end on those wholesome notes, which are those really nice articles at the end. So we are going to start with our first category, science and technology. And this article came in from Kendra, so thank you very much, Kendra, for sending this one in. I really like it. I called this one The Ghost in the Machine. It was really titled, "It's Official. For the first time, neutrinos have been detected in a collider experiment." So I'm going to copy and paste this into the chat for y'all to read along. Once my chat pops up, go to comment mode. Once my chat pops up. Oh, no. Can't have that. Why did that happen? Oh, what? How is Facebook screwing me over again? You know how Facebook just likes to be difficult? Yeah, no crap, I'm live. Come on. What is all this garbage? Crap, I'm live. Are you serious? I've got to go into here just to post my stuff? Alright. Well, that's weird. Posted that in the chat for y'all to read along if you would like. Was there a lag loop? Yeah, it's because I opened that up. Still haven't figured out the double text thing, but we'll keep working on it. Okay. The whole hole. Alright, am I still going pretty well? Or am I still lagging quite a bit? Okay, so we're going pretty well now. Alright. So, it's official. For the first time, neutrinos have been detected in a collider experiment. The ghost, at long last, is actually in the machine. Earlier this year, for the first time, scientists detected neutrinos created in a particle collider. Those abundant yet enigmatic subatomic particles are so removed from the rest of matter that they slide through it like specters, earning them the nickname ghost particles. The researchers said this work represented the first direct observation of collider neutrinos and would help us to understand how these particles form, what their properties are, and their role in the evolution of the universe. The results, achieved using the Fluffer Nutter detector at the Large Hadron Collider, were presented at the 57th Rencontres des Millions Electroweak Interactions and Unified Theories Conference in Italy back in March of 2023. Now, I didn't realize that was Italian. I thought it was French, so I started to pronounce it incorrectly. Dang. We've discovered neutrinos from a brand new source, particle colliders, where you have two beams of particles smashed together at extremely high energy, said particle physicist Jonathan Fang of the University of California, Irvine, at the time. Now, two peer-reviewed papers, which there are links to both if you'd like to take a look at them, have finally published on the detection, making the whole thing a lot more official and exciting. Really? If you find me an article, I'd love to know, because I'm really hoping it doesn't. The Large Hadron Collider is an amazing piece of technology, and I would love for it to continue to find crazy new things. I mean, this was back in March of this year, but, I mean, huh. Neutrinos are among the most abundant subatomic particles in the universe, second only to photons, aka light. But they have no electric charge, their mass is almost zero, and they barely interact with other particles they encounter. Hundreds of billions of neutrinos are streaming through your body right now. Oh, Fermilab. I get what y'all mean now. If Fermilab's closing, that's okay. Fermilab had a smaller collider. If the Large Hadron was going down already, it'd be like, what are they replacing it with? The Larger Hadron? Neutrinos are produced in energetic circumstances, such as the nuclear fusion that takes place inside stars or supernova explosions. And while we may not notice them on a day-to-day basis, physicists believe that their mass, however slight, probably affects the universe's gravity, although neutrinos have pretty much been ruled out as dark matter. Although their interaction with matter is small, it's not completely non-existent. Now and again, a cosmic neutrino collides with another particle, producing a very faint burst of light. Underground detectors, isolated from other sources of radiation, can detect these bursts. Ice Cube in Antarctica, Super Kamiokande in Japan, and Mini Boon at Fermilab in Illinois are three such detectors. Neutrinos produced in particle colliders, however, have long been sought by physicists because the high energies involved are not as well studied as low-energy neutrinos. They can tell us about deep space in ways we can't learn otherwise, because we can't go out there, says particle physicist Jamie Boyd of CERN. These very high-energy neutrinos in the LHC are important for understanding really exciting observations in particle astrophysics. Fluffer Nutter is an emulsion detector consisting of millimeter-thick tungsten plates alternated with layers of emulsion film. Tungsten was chosen because of its high density, which increases the likelihood of neutrino interaction. The detector consists of 730 emulsion films and a total tungsten mass of around 1 ton. 1 ton of tungsten is pretty easy to pull off, though, because it's thick. Tungsten's dense. Mini boom. During particle experiments at the LHC, neutrinos can collide with nuclei in the tungsten plates, producing particles that leave tracks in the emulsion layers, a bit like the way ionizing radiation makes tracks in a cloud chamber. These plates need to be developed like photographic film before the physicists can analyze the particle trails to find out what produced them. 6 neutrino candidates were identified and published back in 2021. Now, the researchers have confirmed their discovery using data from the third run of the upgraded LHC that began last year with a significance level of 16 sigma. Some of us like 6 sigma, but you know what? We'll take 16 sigma for now. That means that the likelihood that the signals were produced by random chance is so low as to be almost nothing. A significance level of 5 sigma is sufficient to qualify as a discovery in particle physics. The phaser team is still hard at work analyzing data collected by the detector, and it seems likely that many more neutrino detections will ensue. Run 3 of the LHC is expected to continue until 2026, so there you go, Sean, you're wrong. And data collection and analysis are ongoing. Back in 2021, physicist David Casper of UC Irvine projected that the run would produce around 10,000 neutrino interactions, which means we've barely scratched the surface of what FASR has to offer. Neutrinos are the only known particles that the much larger experiments at the Large Hadron Collider are unable to directly detect, he says. So phasers or FASR's successful observation means the collider's full physics potential is finally being exploited. I love that. The team's results have been published in physical review letters here and here, and there's 2 links to go to if you would like to follow up on that. That is really cool. To everybody working at CERN, along with the Large Hadron Collider and FASR and detecting neutrinos on Earth. And very many thanks to Kendra for posting that article for us. Cheers. Yeah, that's a peanut butter and marshmallow fluff sandwich right there in a glass. Wow. Oh my gosh. Get your hands on that beer if you're a stout fan. That's some magical flavors. All right, I called this next one NASA Finds a Way. And I will post it here in the chat if y'all would like to read along with me. Hopefully I don't get a little hiccup. Actual title of this one, NASA may have just cracked the code for replacing lithium in batteries. Double or even triple the energy. Lithium is a pretty crappy material. It likes to catch fire randomly. It's horrible to mine, and it doesn't go anywhere once you've mined it. It's pretty much a terrible waste when it's all used up. So if we can get to using something that isn't lithium, that'd be great. Along with routinely launching robots across the final frontier, NASA is also involved in sustainable aviation research, and this division may have cracked the code to creating a lighter, safer battery pack with multiple times more discharge power than lithium-ion batteries. Lithium-ion batteries, the current industry standard for electric vehicles, contains liquids that make them vulnerable to overheating, fire, and loss of charge over time. By contrast, NASA's SABRES, I love the name already, solid-state architecture batteries for enhanced rechargeability and safety project is developing experimental solid-state battery packs that do not suffer from these drawbacks. Thank you so much, NASA. SABRES receives funding from NASA's Convergent Aeronautics Solutions Project, which is designed to investigate certain technologies to solve aviation's biggest challenges, in this case, battery-powered flight. Carbon from air travel equates to around 2% of all global greenhouse gas emissions. Batteries are hypothesized as a potential ameliorating solution to emissions-heavy jet fuel. During the past years, SABRE's solid-state batteries have been honed to produce a discharge rate much higher than any other example on the market by a factor of 10, and then again by a factor of 5. Inside the battery, sulfur and selenium cells stacked directly on top of one another without casings allow for greater weight savings. Along with the cells themselves, multiple batteries can be stacked without any separation between them. Not only does this design eliminate 30 to 40% of the battery's weight, it also allows us to double or even triple the energy it can store, far exceeding the capabilities of lithium-ion batteries that are considered to be the state of the art, said Rocco Vigiano, principal investigator for SABRES at NASA's Glenn Research Center in Cleveland. It has so far allowed the SABRES team to power objects at 500 watt-hours per kilogram, double that of an electric car. This year, the main objective for SABRES was to show the battery's properties meet its energy and safety targets, while also demonstrating it can safely operate under realistic conditions and at maximum power, NASA writes. Partnering with Georgia Tech, SABRES has been able to use different methodologies in their work, which has so far benefited the batteries. Georgia Tech has a big focus on micromechanics of how the cell changes during operation. That helped us look at the pressures inside the battery, which then helped us improve the battery even more, said Vigiano. It also led us to understand from a practical standpoint how to manufacture a cell like this, and it led us to some other improved design configurations, said Vigiano. That is really cool. To everybody at NASA who is making batteries from material better than lithium. Cheers. Did I miss something? Looks like I missed something in the chat. Y'all chatting along. Little far can do GR area. My bad, I'll be more specific next time. I feel like I missed a post from Sean. Oh, about my beer. Gotcha. No, I happen to be on that side of town, so I was definitely going to pick this up and a few other specialties. Some budget studios involves my beer purchases, which can be extravagant and exorbitant at times. All right, we are going to move out of... Oh, my chat's screwing up. Oh, gotcha, Sean. All right, going to refresh the chat real quick. Let it repopulate. There we go. And we're going to move out of category 1 and into category 2, which is health and medicine. I called this one Printing New Pathways. Cassidy sent this one in, so thank you very much, Cassidy. And I will copy and paste this in the chat if y'all would like to read along with me. A lab just 3D printed a neural network of living brain cells. That's the actual title. Oh, yeah. We were aware of that last time, actually, that I cannot see replies. Streamlabs, for some reason, does not catch replies to one another. So, yeah. I'll have to keep an eye out for that, or figure out how to reincorporate utilizing the Facebook app so that then I can still see what's going on. Eliza, hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully not. You can 3D print nearly anything. Rockets, mouse ovaries, and for some reason, lamps made of orange peels. Now scientists at Monash University in Melbourne, Australia have printed living neural networks composed of rat brain cells that seem to mature and communicate like real brains do. Researchers want to create mini brains, partly because they could someday offer a viable alternative to animal testing in drug trials and studies of basic brain function. At the start of 2023, the U.S. Congress passed an annual spending bill pushing scientists to reduce their use of animals in federally funded research, following the signing of the U.S. Food and Drug Administration's Modernization Act 2.0, which allowed high-tech alternatives in drug safety trials. Rather than testing new drugs on thousands of animals, pharmaceutical companies could apply them to 3D printed mini brains. In theory, there are still complexities to iron out before this moves from proof of concept to standard lab practice. 3D printing is just one entry in the race to build a better mini brain. Every time I say this article is bonkers. One existing option is culturing a single layer of neurons in a petri dish, guiding cells to grow over recording electrodes. Growing the tissue around electrodes is convenient for running experiments, but it comes at the cost of biological realism. Brains aren't flat. To get closer to the brain's true structure, researchers can instead coax a bunch of stem cells to organize themselves into 3D tissues called organoids, but can't fully control how they grow. The Monash team tried to split the difference. With 3D printing, researchers can culture cells in specific patterns on top of recording electrodes, granting them a degree of experimental control normally reserved for flat cell cultures. But because the structure is soft enough to allow cells to migrate and reorganize themselves in 3D space, it gains some of the advantages of the organoid approach, more closely mimicking the structure of normal tissue. You kind of have the best of both worlds, says Michael Moore, professor of biomedical engineering at Tulane University in New Orleans, Louisiana, who was not involved in this study. Because as Sean put it, leave it to the Aussie to fuck shit up. We should order them in bulk for the QAnon crew. I like that one. Oh boy. Led by material science and engineering professor, John Forsyth, the Monash team described their experiment in June in advanced healthcare materials. Just like how inkjet printers funnel ink from cartridges to a piece of paper, Forsyth's team printed neural structures by squeezing bioink. We have discussed bioink before on Nick's News. Rat brain cells suspended in a gel out of a nozzle and into a scaffold. They built their neural networks by cross-hatching layer by layer, stacking 8 vertical layers alternating between bioinks with and without cells. These bioinks were extruded from different cartridges, like switching between black and color. The structure gave cells ready access to the gel's nutrients while mimicking alternating between gray and white matter in the cortex, where gray matter contains neuron cell bodies and white matter contains the long axons connecting them. This is some sci-fi bullshit. In collaboration with Helena Parkington, a physiologist at Monash University, the team created brain tissues containing not only neurons, but also the astrocytes, oligodendrocytes, and microglia that help neurons stay healthy and form connections. As they matured, the 3D printed neurons extended their long axons across cell-free layers to reach other cells, enabling them to talk to each other across layers like they do in the cortex. This is crazy. A tiny array of microelectrodes underneath the cells recorded electrical activity in the gel surrounding the cells, while other electrodes directly stimulated the neurons and recorded their responses. Using a fluorescent dye to visualize the movement of calcium ions under a microscope, the team was able to watch the cells chemically communicate. They behaved as we would expect, Forsyth says. There were no surprises. Thank God for that there were no surprises. Let's see. These science articles are always a big slog, and we've reached the meat of the slog, so... Oh, that is terrible, Eliza. And yes, Charlie, it is straight up Umbrella Corp. I just had the music from Resident Evil 1 playing in my head. Oh boy. Alright, how can we cut through the slog? While it may not be surprising that these neurons behaved like, well, neurons, it's a big deal. When it comes to potential biomedical applications like drug discovery and studying neurodegenerative diseases, neural networks are only as valuable as they are functional. It starts by making sure you don't kill the cells when you print them. When standard 3D printers work with plastic filaments, they melt the plastic to make it moldable. They heat it up. Heating up to temperatures far beyond those found in the human body. The one that we've been running at my work, we're somewhere around 250 degrees Celsius. This is a non-starter for neurons, extremely finicky cells that can survive only in carefully calibrated gels that closely replicate properties of squishy body temperature brains. Making a gel that is as soft as the brain, but you can still print through a 3D printer is really hard, says Moore. No crap. So you don't want to kill the cells. There's also a scaling issue. The tissues printed in the Monash experiment contained a few thousand neurons per square millimeter, amountable to a couple 100,000 cells in each 8x8 by 0.4 millimeter structure. The human brain has about 16 billion neurons in the cortex alone, not to mention billions more glial cells. So to scale this up accordingly, it's going to take a bit of work. Heading towards making Marvin. While this technology has the potential to replace animals in many research settings from basic neuroscience to commercial drug development, scientists may be slow to make the switch. Often Moore finds scientists like him are stuck in our ways, reluctant to spend the time, money, and effort required to move away from tried and true animal models. Convincing scientists to abandon those approaches for fancy engineered tissues is going to take time, he says, but I'm very optimistic that we will gradually reduce the number of animal studies. Well, that is really cool. Forsyth and his team hope to see how their printed neural networks fare under stress. Understanding the extent to which these tissues can regenerate after suffering cellular damage will uncover important clues about the brain's ability to heal from trauma. Someday, Forsyth believes people may be able to receive personalized treatments for neurodegenerative diseases and other brain injuries informed by models of their own neural tissue. Willerth envisions Willerth is who's Willerth? They popped in here at some point. I skipped over them. Sorry, Willerth. I don't see where Willerth popped in here before I started talking. So, Willerth envisions hospitals hosting 3D printing suites where future clinicians will be able to use patient biopsies to print tissues that can be used to test whether a given drug will actually work for them. It sets the stage for that kind of personalized medicine, she says. Papers like this will drive it forward. This is really cool. This is really solid. Cassidy, thank you very much for sending this article in, and to everybody involved in 3D printing new brain tissue. Cheers. Oh, that made it worse. Something got my computer revving up. Probably all the ads in all these articles. It's the biggest thing that I'm fighting is all the dang ads. I need to get something to just destroy them all, but, you know. All right, what did I call this next one? I called this next one removing the in intolerance. And I will copy and paste this in the chat for y'all to read. Peanut and food allergies may be reversed with compound produced and by healthy gut bacteria. Why do we need fiber? It feeds the bacteria in our gut, which in turn produces something that could prevent food allergies and irritations such as those triggered by peanuts, a study this year showed. Lactose vampires. And that is true. Yep. That was one of the big things I got. Was neurological deficiencies, I'm imagining Alzheimer's and dementia can be tackled by 3D printing brain material. So, all right, back to the article. You got me once. Why do we need fiber? It feeds the bacteria in our gut, which in turn produces something that could prevent food allergies and irritations, such as those triggered by peanuts, a study this year showed. A short-chain fatty acid called butyrate is produced by Clostridium bacteria in our stomach as they ferment fiber that reinforces the walls of the GI tract and protects against colon cancer, among other things. In a mouse model, researchers at the University of Chicago used an oral solution of butyrate to stimulate a life-threatening anaphylactic response in the allergic animals when they were exposed to peanuts. Without enough fiber in the diet, humans can experience die-offs of these beneficial butyrate-producing gut microbes. Too much eating of simple sugars and carbs instead makes room for harmful species, resulting in a condition known as gut dysbiosis. Without butyrate, the gut lining can become permeable, and bits of food leak out of the GI tract and into circulation, triggering an anaphylactic response in one pattern of allergic reactions. That sounds horrible. One of the ways to rapidly treat this has been a microbiome transplant, also known unpleasantly as a fecal biota transplant. But this has had mixed results in the lab, said Dr. Jeffrey Hubble, PhD, one of the project's principal investigators. So we thought, why don't we just deliver the metabolites like butyrate that a healthy microbiome produces, he said in a news release. Hubble and his colleagues at the University of Chicago did just that in a mouse model in early 2023, but the solution is vile to taste and smell. So a new configuration of polymers that cloak the butyrate has been developed by him and his team. The researchers administered these polymer micelles to the digestive systems of mice lacking either healthy gut bacteria or a properly functioning gut lining. The treatment restored the gut's protective barrier and microbiome, in part by increasing the production of peptides that kill off harmful bacteria, which made room for butyrate-producing bacteria. We were delighted to see that our drug both replenished the levels of butyrate present in the gut and helped the population of butyrate-producing bacteria to expand, said Catherine Nagler, PhD, a senior author of the study. That will likely have implications not only for food allergy and inflammatory bowel disease, but also for the whole set of non-communicable chronic diseases that have been rising over the last 30 years in response to lifestyle changes and overuse of antibiotics in our society. Nagler and Hubble co-founded a company called Clostrobio to further develop the butyrate micelles into a commercially available treatment for peanut allergies, reports University of Chicago Press. They are working with the FDA on an investigational new drug application and hope to begin clinical trials in patients with moderative ulcerative colitis within the next 18 months. So hopefully in a year and a half, they're going to start kicking off experimentation and testing to figure out if we have created a solution to peanut allergies. That is fantastic. Oh, gotcha. Cancer and underdeveloped neural growth. I gotcha. So yeah, that's really cool. To everybody at University of Chicago, working out how to reverse peanut allergies and other allergies that are related to the gut. Cheers. All right, so that's going to take us out of our second category of health and medicine and into our third category, flora and fauna, aka plants and animals. I called this first one, What Weighs Half a Ton and Deserves More Land? I'll let you all think about it. Think of animals that can weigh up to half a ton. I'll paste this in the chat for y'all to read along. Norway rewilds Arctic coal mining town in largest operation of its kind, giving new hunting ground for polar bears. That's right, half a ton of white death. The polar bear. We have been destroying their territory for years, and it looks like Norway is finally giving some back. On the Arctic island of Svalbard, the Norwegian government has just completed the largest rewilding project in its history. Yes, Sean, land hippos. Polar bears, reindeer, Arctic fox, and many seabirds are now moving back into the Svigruva mining town, where the depths of the island were plumbed for coal for 100 years. Svigruva was an industrial community nestled in a remote fjord, which geez, I am screwing this all up. Oh gosh! All right, let's start over. Whew. Yes, it is. Pizzly bears or growler bears or pizzlies are horrifying creations of doom and destruction. Svigruva was an industrial community nestled in a remote fjord, which before its closure had its own power station, wharf, water supply, and everything else that was necessary to house up to 300 workers and run mining operations on a large scale. The Storting, a Norwegian parliament, decided in 2017 to wind down operations and clear the area to return it to its natural state. All traces of human activity since mining began in 1910 were to be removed, with the exception of cultural monuments and buildings from before 1946. It's now so empty and pristine that no passing polar bear could ever have imagined humans had ever been there, apart from 3 red houses spared by their monument designation. This is Norway's largest nature restoration ever, and an expression of a long-term and consistent Norwegian policy to preserve wilderness nature on Svalbard, said Climate and Environment Minister Espen Barth Eide. I don't know if it's the Norway in this article or what is going on, but I am suddenly having a horrible time trying to pronounce all of this. There is less and less untouchable nature in the world, and the restoration of nature and ecosystems is therefore one of the most important goals in the new Global Nature Agreement. The cleanup in Svigruva is an important contribution to this. Before the rewilding began, 12 people from NICU, Norwegian Institute for Cultural Heritage Research, spent 6 weeks scanning and photographing the entire town of Svigruva. Around 170,000 images and 6,000 scans, in total more than 18 terabits of raw data, have become a huge digital 3D model that can be experienced at a nearby tourist outpost. In many ways, the cleanup of Svea and Lunkefjul Lunkagel? Ah, Norway. Has been a project that has involved the entire population of Svalbard, said Lars Faus, the head of civil affairs in Svalbard. I am impressed by how the various companies and units have worked together. This has been one of the success factors for the project being carried out so efficiently and cost effectively. While 2.5 billion Norwegian krone, or around $230 million, was budgeted for the project came in at a merely $83 million, so way under budget. Fantastic. Yep, the Fluffer Nutter has fluffed me. While 7 national parks and 23 nature reserves cover the island of Svalbard, making it by percentile one of the most well-conserved island ecosystems in the Arctic at around 66%. To everybody involved with clearing out this old mining town and restoring this land to all of the native flora and fauna. Cheers. No, Tim, no. Not the Jedi mind trick of making me drink. That is a pretty solid article. I gotta refresh the chat again. Let it get caught up here. There we go. I did notice, yeah, y'all were talking about polar grizzlies. So they are known as Pizzly or Growler bears, depending on who the mom and dad are and what the situation was. Same as having ligers or Tigons. I really think they're called Tigons. Both of which are produced from lion-tiger mixes because the species are so close. The biggest thing that we run into, especially with large species, is sometimes those genes that determine size get doubled up, which is why ligers are so enormous compared to their parents. And it is theorized that Pizzly or Growler bears might undergo much the same genetic result. So, yeah. Hopefully we're not seeing more of those in the near future. Fluffer Nutter beer. Get fluffed. Now as referenced by All Might, Led Zeppelin means Pizzlies will be the Canadian Doom. Pizzlies, Canadian Doom. I like that. Alright, what did I call this next one? Crouching Wasp, Hidden Bumblebee. And I'll copy and paste this one in the chat for y'all to read along. I want to pet it. Charlie, no you don't. No you don't. Bumblebees are hitting back at Asian hornets, with top-tier combat skills, reveals research. Bumblebees have top-tier combat skills when targeted by Asian hornets, reveals new research. Buff-tailed bumblebees drop to the ground when hornets attack, carrying the pests down with them, according to the findings. Hornets lose their grip as they drop, or the bee raises its sting and fights until the hornet gives up. Stunned scientists at University of Exeter witnessed 120 attacks that took the same course, with the bee triumphing every time. 60% of the time, it works 100% of the time. The invasive pests, also known as yellow-legged hornets, have already invaded large portions of mainland Europe and parts of East Asia and have for the first time been spotted in the US. Sightings in the UK and mainland Europe are at an all-time high this year, but people are fighting back, fearing for pollinators such as bees. Now, if everybody isn't aware, what the yellow-legged hornet is also known as is the murder hornet. This was the sensationalized evil creature that came across and was found in Washington, and we are doing a very extensive bit trying to destroy and prevent from gaining a foothold here in the States. They're terrible for native bees. Very few bee species have ways of fighting them off. Some do, but it has been honed over millions of years. It's not something today's bees are going to learn very quickly. So, are the hornets French? Ow, Julie! Ouch! And thank you, Sean, for the correction with British Columbia. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's get ready to bumble! let's see, where were we? With honeybees, the hornets do something called hawking, hovering outside the bee's nest and attacking returning foragers as they fly past, said Dr. Thomas O'Shea Weller at the University of Exeter. But we recorded hornets doing the same thing to bumblebees, but with surprising difference that in our observations, they were entirely unsuccessful. Although the attacks we witnessed at colony entrances were unsuccessful, defending against such attacks is likely energetically costly, said Dr. O'Shea Weller, whose team published the study in Communications Biology. And when hornet abundance is high, this could be a major problem for bees out foraging. Hornets also consume nectar from flowers, meaning they compete directly with bees for food and harass them at flower patches. The team placed commercially reared colonies of buff-tailed bumblebees, Bombus terrestris, in 12 locations across the province of Pontevedra, Spain, with varying densities of Asian hornets. Sequel to Aliens vs. Predator. And yes, Sean, bees do recognize people by face, which is terrifying. Fuzz butts and shark versus jets, flower turf wars. It is indeed. So, to everybody involved in this study, and to the buff-tailed bumblebee for its amazing combative skills, cha-cha-cha. Cheers. All right, this next one is the article that's going to bridge the gap between flora and fauna and wholesome notes. Charlie sent this one in. Thank you so much, Charlie. This one is absolutely adorable. It is from a little while ago, but it's just so good that we are going to roll with it. I called this one, If a Cat Can Do It, So Can You. And I will copy and paste this in the chat if y'all want to read along with me. Meet Truffles, the special kitty who wears glasses to help kids feel better about wearing theirs. Nearly 4 years ago, Daniel Krull rescued a stray kitten from a forest in Pennsylvania. Now that spunky kitty is changing hundreds of lives by helping children with eye problems feel more confident about wearing glasses and eye patches. Truffles, now famous for her glamorous glasses, which range from sparkling purple ones, awesome, to her favorite green pair, works alongside her mom, an optician. Krull runs her own practice, A Child's Eyes, in Mechanicsburg, where her primary focus is infants, toddlers, and children in elementary school. When kids come in, many with severe eye problems that require multiple surgeries, medications, and treatments, they are often terrified of anything coming near their eyes. That's when Truffles comes to the rescue. She is literally magical with little kids, Krull told CNN. It takes me at least half an hour to try and get to know them so they realize it's not something to be afraid of. And Truffles will come strutting out from the back as if she knows exactly when I need her help. Truffles hops right up next to the child and tilts her head up so Krull can put on a pair of glasses. The mood changes instantly, says Krull. Tears turn into smiles, and suddenly those glasses don't look so scary anymore. This is adorable. The story that happens over and over is a little one is crying and she comes out and I put glasses on her. And they immediately stop crying and laugh and put their own glasses on, Krull said. It happens countless times and it's just as sweet every single time. And the images of Truffles with her glasses are hilarious. That is adorable, Eliza. I've seen Doggles as well. Well, click on the link, Julie. It's in the chat. Click on the link and look at it. Or, because I found that I can't copy and paste images into the chat ever. It doesn't, yeah, it still doesn't work. So you'll have to look at the article. Wearing glasses is one of Truffles' favorite things to do. She often falls asleep wearing them and refuses to let Krull take them off. Every day, according to Krull, Truffles chooses one of her nearly 20 pairs of unique glasses and prances around in them happily. If she had thumbs, she would do it herself, But she actually loves it, Kroll said. She can take them off whenever she wants, but a lot of times she chooses not to. For many people, Truffles might seem like nothing more than an adorable kitty who doesn't mind the occasional accessory, but she is everything to the children and parents whose lives she has impacted. Oh, this article's bigger than I thought, but that's okay. We'll keep going. One of those kids is Joella Migliori. Joella Migliori. A 5-year-old born with 3 genetic abnormalities, including iris atrophy, when someone is born missing layers of their iris, resulting in changes in vision. Joella went through 15 surgeries before she was 6 months old. When she was 1, she visited Kroll's office and met Truffles, who became one of her best friends and biggest supporters. You know the videos of children having hearing aids for the first time? That's the experience Danielle and Truffles gave us, when Joella was able to really see for the first time. Jeanette Migliori, Joella's mom, told CNN. The first thing she saw was the kitty, and it just changed everything for her. And there is an image of Joella and Truffles, and it is adorable. For 4 years, Joella has visited Truffles regularly, whenever she needs new glasses or adjustments. Every time, Truffles comes out in her glasses to play with her. It was never scary for her to go in there because Truffles would be there, Migliori said. Joella has multiple ouchie appointments, is what we call them now, and she doesn't ever want to go, but visiting Truffles is the one single appointment we can go to where she doesn't have anxiety. I'm not crying, you're crying. But that's not the only way Truffles has helped Joella. The sweet feline has launched a fundraiser for the Children's Miracle Network, which helps fund treatment for millions of children across the country. One of those hospitals is Penn State Health Children's Hospital, where Joella was born fighting for her life. They're like family at this point, Migliori said. They are fundraising for their community, and that's really special because they didn't have to do that. They don't just do their job, they care about their community, and this means a lot to parents like me. Amblyopia, also known as lazy eye, is a childhood disorder where nerve pathways between the brain and the eye aren't properly stimulated, so the brain favors one eye. The best way to treat it is temporarily wearing an eye patch over the strong eye to help strengthen the weak eye. Wearing an eye patch isn't easy for kids, Kroll said. One thing is glasses, but eye patches are a whole different thing. It's more worry, more fear, more confusion. Having the confidence to wear an eye patch is not an easy challenge for children, but Truffles is committed to making sure kids feel confident enough to wear them, and I just saw the picture of Truffles with an eye patch. If it couldn't get cuter, it just did. To do so, Truffles wears her own eye patch over one of her many pairs of glasses. Since doing so, hundreds of parents of children with amblyopia have reached out to Truffles on Instagram with emotional words of gratitude. One of those children is Annie, a young girl who regularly messages Truffles to talk to her about what she feels when she has to wear an eye patch. Truffles wearing a patch is a very big deal. She makes kids feel more confident about wearing their patches, and that's something I am very passionate about, Kroll said. This makes a real impact in these kids' lives every day. Charlie, that was an amazing article. Thank you so much. And as Charlie was saying earlier in the chat, I did catch it. There was even more info in a couple of follow-ups that were done about Truffles. Kroll made a special pair of color glasses because cats suffer from a sort of color blindness, just like dogs do. So she made a special pair of color glasses to correct that. And ever since she started putting those on Truffles, Truffles refuses to take them off. She taught Truffles how to take her own glasses off. She can't put them on, but she can remove them. But when she has the color glasses on, apparently she will resist other people taking her glasses off. And it's so interesting thinking about the dynamics of that. So to Kroll, to Truffles especially, and Charlie, thank you so much for the article. Cheers. That really is adorable. So that we're going to move out of category 3, flora and fauna. We're going to move into category 4, those wholesome notes that we like to end on. This one is also animal-centric, but I really like it. I called it Man's Best Friend, Toddler's Best Pillow. And I will copy and paste this in the chat for y'all to read along. Do you have a beer? It's disappearing. Missing toddler found sleeping in woods with dog as a pillow after walking 3 miles barefoot. There's a lot to unpack. After a frantic 4 hours of search and rescue, a 2-year-old toddler from Michigan, of course it was Michigan, was found sleeping in the woods amid sweet dreams, fairy dust, and the 2 family dogs whom she had wrapped around her finger. Thea Chase was playing barefoot in the yard of her home in rural Faithorn, Michigan, when her uncle instructed her to go inside and put some shoes on. Her mother, Brooke, said she had the instinct to go and check on her and their 2 dogs, a Rottweiler named Buddy and an English Springer named Hartley. It soon became terrifyingly clear that Thea was no longer in the yard, after which Brooke and Thea's uncle began to shout for her. They searched the woods near at hand to the house for about a quarter of an hour before calling the police and Chase's husband. When we get a call like that, everything else stops. Michigan State Police Lieutenant Mark Giannunzio. Giannunzio? It is Giannunzio. Told CNN. In the rural area, the police put out a call for drones, canine teams, and search and rescue personnel to comb the county, while members of Brooke's close-knit community in town formed their own search party. Eventually, around midnight, a family friend who was still out looking for Thea on ATV discovered Buddy by the side of a trail. He reported that as he approached, the dog started barking. The still shoeless 2-year-old was located a short way from the trail, sleeping as soundly as a wood nymph, her head atop Hartley's body. When the ATV driver tried to wake her up, Hartley informed the man with a not-so-polite growl that it was rude to wake a sleeping angel. She has those dogs wrapped around her finger, said Brooke, who, according to CNN, was in a fog for the whole 4 hours it took to rescue the girl on a 60-degree night, who had wandered off 3 miles into the woods. Luckily, she wandered off 3 miles with 2 amazing guardian angels in the forms of the dogs, Buddy and Hartley. That is adorable. Buddy and Hartley, thank you so much for taking care of little Thea while she was out 3 miles from home barefoot. Cheers. Exactly, I said the baby's sleeping. I called this next one Flying the Friendly Skies. And I will copy and paste this one in the chat. Wait, my kid and I will end you. I will paste this one in the chat for y'all to read along. Dad honors career by recreating adorable photo with son who is now a pilot at the same airline. From a Chicago airport comes the beautiful story of a father and son who were able to recreate a special moment to celebrate an even more special one. Newly fledged pilot for Southwest Airlines Reuben Flowers III got to ride shotgun on his father's final flight before retiring, which they memorialized by taking a photo in the same position as one nearly 30 years earlier. Reuben Flowers Jr. was getting ready for takeoff back in 1994 when his son, Flowers III, got to visit the captain. Sitting in the co-pilot seat, they snapped a nice photo, and it is adorable. Flowers Jr. flew for Southwest for 30 years, all the while inspiring his 3 children to take to the skies as well, with Flowers III telling People magazine it's the best office view in the world. Flowers III was coming to the end of his flight school just as his father was nearing the end of his career, and it was that time when he stumbled across that old family photo and got him thinking of doing something special for his dad. It was a dream of mine to make this happen, Flowers III says. It was my #1 goal to fly with my dad. He wasn't sure whether or not he would complete his flight school before his father's March 3rd retirement, but fate was on the young man's side, and on March 3rd, as part of a flight from Omaha to Chicago, Flowers II and III sat side by side, pilot and co-pilot, father and son, and snapped the last picture of his dad's long career. I really enjoyed flying with my son, Flowers Jr. told People. It was truly a blessing for me. It was just awesome. After they landed in Chicago, Flowers III kept on going while his dad went to a retirement reception at the airport to celebrate a beautiful career and a beautiful legacy that continues flying after him. To Flowers II and Flowers III, thank you for all of the many flights and good luck on all of the future ones. Cheers. We're running out of beer quick, but we are on our final article of the night. And I felt that this one really worked in with the theme of the quote that I pulled from earlier. So I called this one Lawn at a Time. I will copy and paste this in the chat if y'all would like to read along. After job layoff, Jersey man said, "I want to mow your lawn," and his free services spread across the nation. There's a man in New Jersey who wants to mow your lawn. Don't believe him? Ask the patent office. He trademarked the phrase. Brian Schwartz from Maine, New Jersey has pulse-started a nationwide movement to automate and scale kindness after losing his job during the pandemic and feeling like he wanted to make a positive impact in the world. Soon after, he started a volunteer lawn care organization to help seniors, the disabled, and veterans mow their lawns, trim their hedges, and cut back their trees. And he does it all for free. When we help someone like Edna, a dedicated teacher juggling personal battles, or Peter, a D-Day veteran who stormed the beaches of Normandy, it's incredibly fulfilling, Schwartz told GNN. Every lawn mowed is not just grass cut, it's relief provided, a burden eased, and a community strengthened. While sprouting grassroots in New Jersey, the movement spread internationally, and I Want to Mow Your Lawn was born. Brian now oversees over 500 volunteers in 46 states, with similar orgs springing up in Australia, the UK, and Canada. I Want to Mow Your Lawn and its volunteers have spruced up over 2,000 lawns, but all this helping with others springs from a strong foundation at home. Every day I'm reminded of my late father, who passed away January 2021 after a 2-year battle from brain cancer, who believed in my vision enough to contribute to its foundation via our GoFundMe to become a 501c3, Brian said. The notion of him looking down with pride, knowing that we're making a tangible difference, is a powerful driving force. Watching my young son Dylan absorb and internalize the work we do is deeply rewarding. Every time we help someone, I see it as not just aiding our immediate community, but also shaping the next generation's values and principles, he adds. Once it became clear that there were plenty of people willing to do the work for free and plenty of people who needed a helping hand, Brian began looking for other ways to help and began introducing people to more sustainable garden planning, such as installing rock gardens, native gardens, or switching to battery-operated equipment. Brian can outfit some of his volunteers thanks to collaborations with major equipment makers like Still, Milwaukee Tool, and Ryobi. While ironically, I Want to Mow Your Lawn's No Mow May petition has gathered 700 signatures from clients looking to ensure their lawns remain vital food, producing stopovers for bees and other pollinators during key spring months. We discussed No Mow May, possibly May of this year or May of last year during a Nix News article. No Mow May is a massive undertaking to have people prevent mowing their lawns in May when different plants and other flora will flower. And these flowers that come up, especially like dandelions, are great food sources for bees. It gets their hives kick-started, gets them ready for the summer. And what we've been doing is basically depriving them of this by mowing our lawns because we don't like the sight of some weeds. So No Mow May is an amazing thing. If you have a lawn, I highly recommend it. When I have a lawn again, I know I will do No Mow May just to have some wildflowers and stuff spring up for those bees to have food. The overwhelming support and recognition from individuals, volunteers, and partners like Project Evergreen and Raising Men Lawn Care Service have been heartwarming, Schwartz told GNN. A look to their organization's YouTube channel reveals it's not all about lawns, but snow and ice, as well as piles of leaves. If there's a lawn with a problem, Brian and his team are happy to help. That is really cool. That is fantastic. Close that up. Wow. Well, we got through all of our articles for tonight. That's everything we had, folks. I think those were some good ones. If you don't and you want to find me some better ones, or you have some different ideas with article styles for Nick's News, by all means, let me know. I am constantly tweaking this format, obviously, until we get something that I can do on a regular basis and, make a really good thing out of. So somehow I have a flower garden. But what is all the butt talk going on in the chat? There's so much fuzz butt talk. All right, well, thank you all again for tuning in or catching the replay on the Nick's News Facebook page, or watching this replay on the future YouTube channel of Nick's News. Again, we're live every other Sunday, and our next episode will be on October 22nd. That sounds about right. Yeah, we should be here on October 22nd. I encourage participation, so if you feel inclined, you can message the Nick's News page to post suggestions for a news brew, shout-outs, news quotes, and even good news articles that you find that we can present on future episodes. If possible, I do appreciate a variety of articles that are spread out across our 4 categories, and again, those categories were science and technology, health and medicine, flora and fauna, and those wholesome notes that we like to end on. And again, if you do find those such things, or you want to suggest such things, please send them to the Nick's News chat. Things get lost in my personal chat because the thing is pretty active. So I do appreciate everything you guys find to be sent to the Nick's News Facebook page. It's got its own chat going on that you can send me stuff, and I log everything accordingly in there. It's a lot cleaner. So I really do appreciate that. But yeah, so that's about it. As always, thank you again. I love you all, and have a great night. And I'm going to play us out.